Be right back. I gotta get my.
Oh. Do you still drive a lot nowadays or mostly coasting? I drive a little bit. Like in the SEM, I have not been racing. In real life, I've been racing on the Lotus Emira Cup, so I have another round at Monza. I'm going to Monza in 2 weeks. And I have a GT3, a Ferrari GT3 test in Sepang in August. So it's going to be the first time I drive a GT3, which is funny because I'm going to drive there professionally. I'm going to drive as a coach with one student. And if that does well, then we might do the 12 hours of Sepang together. And I think that's it. So I'm racing the Lotus in real life. I might race the Ferrari GT3. I'm not racing the SEM. I'm editing a lot of stuff. We're creating more stuff for the Academy. We're creating more videos for YouTube. And yeah, working on little things here and there. We have a lot of possible stuff for 2027. Like all the way from Netflix series to new courses and like racing possible in Asia, racing possible in Europe, racing possible in the US. It really depends a lot on the conversations that my manager is having and which of the conversations end up going forward. So it's always like that. Like you're in 2026, you're thinking about 2027 and talking to a lot of people and seeing the proposals and seeing the ideas and so on. Well, I haven't been doing a lot of racing myself because I really want to focus on the coaching side, even if that means me racing as a coach. I would definitely prefer to race as a coach, which is something we're talking about with we have a few students, a few drivers that are thinking about driving with me next year, like endurance events and stuff like that, where we share the car and we drive together so that I can coach them and be their pro driver as well. But the goal is the coaching, like I really like the coaching side. I think that's one of the things that a lot of drivers don't really focus on. They focus more on getting seats. I focus more on getting, the race engineering seat. Today is roast or analysis. I'm gonna try to roast. Kyle, you're gonna have to help me a little bit with the roasting side. Because clearly I'm not really good at it. I'm good at analyzing, but I'm not good at being a bully. I'm gonna try. I drank my coffee, so I'm high on coffee right now.
I'm a bully.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you're not a bully either.
Yeah.
We need some more bulliness in this room.
Lap submissions are only for gold members, just Andy.
Yeah, to submit laps, you have to be a gold member, and then you go to the Roast My Clip forum. You can submit an MP4. There are instructions on the website. So if you go to the website, there's a little button, beautiful button that Kyle put there with information about how the lap needs to be, right? Like onboard cockpit with like decent quality sound, MP4 or YouTube link, and it has to have the telemetry if possible. If the recording has the telemetry a little bit too small, increase the UI size so that we can clearly see the telemetry. That's the thing that I'm pretty much looking at that all the time. I can see how you think, and I can see your decisions, and I can see what I need to tell you just by looking at the telemetry. Sometimes I don't even need to look at the actual track.
I'm about to roast your ability to analyze without telemetry.
We literally analyzed a whole real life video without telemetry on the last Roast My Lap. Come on. I can do it.
How about that thumbnail though?
That thumbnail was because of Kyle. Now people are thinking that I said that to someone when they see the thumbnail.
You said it in the video. You said, like, my grandma has better curves.
Did I say no? I think you said that. You said that, not me.
No, you said that.
I said that. No, someone said that. Yeah. Someone said that in the chat, and I read it. I would never naturally be that creative. I would not be that creative. Anyways, we're good. We're good. We're
What-
good. I
what's
said
that-
5
what's
minutes. It's
that
been
meme?
10. Let's
What's
start.
that meme? If my grandmother had wheels, she would be a bike.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's choose something. We could start with something a little bit light. What about F1 at Spa? What do you guys think? F1 at Spa in Assetto Corsa. I know it's a little bit different, but it's kind of interesting to see how this could. Well, please have sound. There's no sound?
The fuck is that steering wheel?
There is sound, but the sound is so low.
For people who are watching, if the stream itself is quiet for you, if you right click the feed, there's a stream volume and you can set that up to 200%.
And put this on system. Okay, we can hear it. That's good. No worries. Should we start? Let me see if I got this. Yeah, we got it. All right, first review. Quality is a little bit low. F1 at Spa. This is the F1 2004 in Assetto Corsa. So it's going to be like completely different, way out of the comfort zone for everyone, including me as a coach. I'm going to have to take a look at like trying to understand the physics of the game and trying to understand driving. And there's, you know, the braking is a little bit different. The tire physics are different. So we're going to have to take a look at it. So let's start with it. Let's go. Oh, God. Traction control. Tire locking later into the braking zone. We're going to talk about that.
This is perfect because, sorry if I'm distracting you, but
Oh, good.
we're using another simulator here than our traditional iRacing, and people are always asking, does what we teach, what you teach, apply to other simulators?
It applies to real life, therefore it applies to every simulator.
Too much understeer.
Way too much understeer.
He's steering way too much.
Which in Assetto Corsa, it's not as punished as iRacing. iRacing, you would have been at the wall at this point. Alright, let's skip this. All right, cool. What did you say here? You said it's Assetto Corsa and the pro times are 140. You can easily get to 140 with a few fixes. Like you should have lost a lot of time from this lap because of a few big mistakes that we can isolate and focus on today. You did a 42.9, so you're around 3 seconds off, and all this time is in a few things. I want to isolate this in two things today. So first, let's take a look at the braking into turn 1 here. All right. So what do we see? Kyle, what do you see?
Steering wheel upside down.
I wouldn't say this is the worst problem, honestly, because Assetto Corsa kind of accepts you abusing the steering as long as some other things are good. I see
Dropping the brakes too fast.
I see this on the brakes. It's square
It's also heavy
on the
heavy
way
braking
down.
while turning.
It's flat at 100%. Guys, if you ever want to drive a high downforce car, listen to this. A car with no downforce is able to withstand peak pressure until the car reaches a full stop. Let's say here, we start braking at 300 kilometers per hour, and then we stay at that pressure until the car reaches 0. The car can take it. But here's the difference. As soon as you get into downforce, remember here we are at 300 kilometers per hour, right? This is the mechanical grip. Let's call this the mechanical grip. Put an M here. When the car has more downforce, and let's draw a little car here, right? You have a car with a lot of downforce, like this. The wind will hit, I mean, it's not literally exactly like this on a complex physics explanation, but like the best way to visualize this, the wind hits the car and goes up, pushing the car down, right? Obviously, there's going to be explanations about like the downforce is actually creating like a pull, not a push. Doesn't matter. The final forces are down, which means when the car gains speed, the weight of the car will be, say, 1,000 kilos, but the tires will feel 1,000 kilos plus whatever is the downforce. If the downforce is, say, 1,000 kilos, which is very possible, the tires are feeling 2,000 kilos of force on them, which means at a high speed, 2,000 kilos means more grip on the tires, and therefore we can brake harder. Let's say double. It's not necessarily linear, but let's say double, because we have at high speed an extra 1,000 kilos of downforce because the wind is pushing you down. As soon as you start slowing down, that speed is gonna go down. So here we have 1,000, then we have, I don't know, 800. The car is lower. Then we have 500, and it keeps going down as the car slows down. So this amount of brakes that we can add on top of the mechanical grip, we're gonna call it aero grip, right? Aerodynamic grip. And that's why we can brake so hard and stop so fast in a Formula 1 car, because there is so much extra downforce pushing the car down. As the speed goes down, we lose that force. We lose the downforce, and therefore we have to brake less because there's less aerodynamic force on top of the mechanical grip. We should never, ever, ever brake and stay at the maximum peak pressure on a Formula car or on an LMP2 car or on a hypercar. Whatever car has a lot of downforce, when you get into a significant amount of downforce, we cannot keep the brake pressure fixed. And that's why in this video, he does this. I'm going to put this in, I don't know, white here, right? He does this. He goes to 100. He stays at 100. At the beginning, he did not lock. But then as soon as he got into this area where the where the aerodynamic force was already lower, he stayed at 100%. And that's why he locks the tire right here. He locks afterwards. He doesn't lock on the beginning of the braking. He locks afterwards. And that's why he got into so much trouble. And most of the time loss is this, because as soon as you lock, the car stops less. You start churning, the tires are overheated, and there's no grip, and there's no rotation, so you have to wait before you get back on power. And there goes 6-7 tenths in one corner, right? So this is the biggest mistake here that we have to avoid. Now, after this explanation, watch this. Try to see how the tire locks how we lock the tire after we start braking and we stay at 100%.
Your drawing looks like a Swiss cheese block.
What?
Your car drawing looks like a Swiss cheese block.
Thank you. It's art. There you go. It was on this little second application. We have this. Oh, go back here. Yeah. So here, what do we have? We have the brakes go up. Let's look right here, in case you don't find my cursor. It goes up, down, up. On the second application, we lock right here. And then he dropped very quickly, but it's kind of too late at this point. You already kind of lost the deceleration. When you lock the tires, the car stops less, and so on. So I think just having this kind of brake release like this is what you need to do. And then obviously, when we start turning into the corner, we can drop the brakes more quickly. So the brake release in a Formula car has always two stages. You have the downforce loss stage on a straight line. And then we have the actual trail braking. This is what you guys are used to, because we do that a lot in all the other cars. So the trail braking happens from a lower amount relative to the peak, because this release here is aero release. And then you see the same issue on the last corner. So he's gonna brake super hard into the last corner here. Locks after and stays there. So the locking problem is a lack of awareness about the downforce loss on the braking on a straight line. And there's also this quick drop here, guys. Like there's something, it's very rare. It's very rare to ever have to do this on a race car. Like this does not make sense. There are, I can't find a good example where you would reliably have to drop the brakes like this unless there's something deeply wrong with the car. We, on average, like in 99.9% of the corners, we will apply the brakes more quickly and we will release more slowly as we transition into the brakes. If you drop the brakes fast, something is very wrong and the transition from braking to turning will never be efficient. Never drop the brakes too fast. Dropping the brakes too fast is extremely unproductive in the future, even though the car feels safe because you're not gonna slide and you're gonna get into that nice predictable understeer. You're limiting yourself to that. Now we have another issue here. This one is gonna be a fast one. Let's go into this sector. We actually can see the brake drop here. This drop is not optimal because like you see kind of this. We don't see the clear two stages. This is what we need to do. We need to do this until the turning point and then we drop more quickly. So we don't see that. We see a little bit of release slowly, which is something very difficult to practice. It took me a long time. And I was in Formula 3 trying to do that. Formula 3 is obviously less pronounced, right? So it's gonna be like this. A Formula 2 or car with more downforce, Formula 3.5 would be more like this, and then a Formula 1 would be more pronounced like that. So it depends on the amount of downforce. And fun fact, if you are driving a Formula 3 car and your brakes are like this, and you suddenly add more downforce in the setup, you will probably be able to do this. And if you add less downforce setup, then you'll probably only be able to do this. So this here, within the same car, you can have different ranges of how steep this line will be depending on the downforce settings. Like if you have full wing, you're definitely going to be able to brake harder. If you have the least amount of wing possible and you're driving at Monza, you're going to have to brake less, and the steepness of this first stage release on a straight line is going to be smaller. All right, so let's keep going here. The biggest issue here, that's a lot of turning. Let's look at this graph here. That's a lot of turning with the steering. That's a lot of turning with the steering. That's a lot of turning with the steering. And the problem here is you will always have better rotation if you're neutral or if you're braking a little bit. So if you're steering a lot, this is your steering, and you're combining the throttle like this, these things are fighting each other. They hate that. The steering doesn't like the throttle doesn't like the steering. You're gonna get into traction control and your car is gonna understeer. So it's a terrible thing to try and accelerate too early. So in this lap, what we see is a very aggressive braking that leads into a very early throttle that goes nowhere. It's like this, right? And the apex is right here. Look, the apex is here. And we see this kind of like, I'm trying my best to turn too early and never allowing the car to turn because the throttle here is not allowing the car to turn. And that's why we have so much understeer everywhere. Again, throttle, throttle, throttle. See that those three attempts here, that's too early throttle causing the understeer. And let's go to this corner. Kind of the same thing. So this one is a good example. Let's watch this again because that's a very common problem here. Look at what he did. You see the white line here is the steering. He adds the steering as he is already on power. That's a big problem. What he could have done here, just make sure you're looking at this telemetry here, is stay off throttle and accelerate only here. More aggressively. You would be able to accelerate more aggressively or even a little bit earlier if you had waited for the car to turn off throttle. You see, if you notice the rotation itself, as soon as he touches the throttle, the car immediately gets into understeer. Take a look. See,
So
immediately.
what you're saying is that this guy needs to go back to F4.
Not necessarily. You know, I don't really believe that beginners should drive on slower cars. I think this is a tradition that is borrowed by real life constraints. Why do we start in slower cars? Because it's dangerous to drive a super fast car and because it's too expensive. But when my
It was supposed to be a roast.
when my girlfriend started driving in the sim, I put her on a F1 at Red Bull Ring because it was much easier for her to learn. The car stopped a lot, turned a lot, accelerated a lot. She had to understand about tire locking. She had to understand about like too much power. She learned how to do this. Literally her first day, she did this. Her first day. Why? Because on her first laps, she did this, spun. She did this, spun. You know, so she was obviously having to learn. Now, when you drive in a Mazda MX-5, you can brake like this, get into ABS, nothing happens. And then you accelerate like this, get into traction control, nothing happens. It doesn't help. This doesn't help a beginner. I got her in an F1 with no ABS and OTC, in a lot of cornering grip, and she learned a lot. And she learned way faster than I expected, actually. So I don't believe that you have to drive in a slow car at first in sim racing. I believe you should drive... What instead? I don't know exactly. I didn't build that answer yet, but I don't think you need to drive a super slow car. You can start on a Formula 1 and then go to a GT3 and then go to the MX-5. The MX-5 technically can be like slightly more difficult to drive than a GT3 at a competitive level. I'm not talking about at an intermediate level. At an intermediate level, GT3 is easier to drive. Formula 1 is easier to drive. Maybe not Formula 1 on iRacing because you have to learn the ABS and TC, but still, those are good things that force you to be a better driver and not just trust the electronics all the time. Anyways, the problem here is not allowing the car to turn on the middle of the corner because you're getting back on power too early. You turn, the car is pointing beautifully. Wait just a little bit more, and then smash the throttle. But what he did, he gets back on power so early, and he goes on power like this, right? So this portion is just creating a lot of understeer. And on top of that, he is adding more steering on top of it. That's the combination that generates the understeer. And we see that everywhere. See, lots of understeer. Now we're destroying the front tires. And then we go to the next corners. Let's take a look at it. Kind of the same thing, right? So we got a lot of understeer, and at this point, he will add steering and throttle at the same time. He added both again. Like, he didn't add a lot of steering because he already had a lot of steering, but he did still add the throttle and then add more steering and then really like kind of hope that the front tires at some point will magically have more grip. I think that's the lack here. Again, what's the solution? Wait a little bit more. Get the car to turn a little bit more so that when you get back on power, you don't need this amount of steering, and then you will get less scrub and the car will go faster. A car with high grip has more scrub. So if you have a lot of grip on your tire because you're driving a like high grip slick tire, that means that your scrub is also going to slow you down more. So he might be losing a lot of time on a semi-flat corner because he's scrubbing the front tires. I would also add, I don't know if this setup is open, but like if you're holding the car so much on the steering like that, maybe add a little bit of downforce in the front or remove the wing on the rear just to make the car a little bit more pointy, and then you don't need the habit to completely destroy the front tires and completely trust on understeer. If the car turns more, you naturally turn less. So I would probably add a little bit more, less downforce in the rear to make the car a little bit more spicy and help you turn the steering less. And that's it. I think we see pretty much the same pattern everywhere. Throttle very early, inducing understeer, inducing excessive amounts of understeer on the middle here. You can see that he actually brakes a little bit too much, and he would have probably hit. Look at how he's going. He's going here. So what he does, he immediately gets some power to induce some understeer, and yes, he stays on the nice line, but he already lost the time. If he's capable of under braking, go to this direction and hit the grass, that means that he could have braked later and carry more speed into the corner in the first place. Now stuck in understeer, half throttle. That's destroying the tires. And change direction, same thing. Look at the understeer. Gets so much understeer that he slowly lifts. This slow lift here, if you get understeer, bro, drop this and go on throttle and go on the brakes. Don't think. If you do this, the car, you're still in understeer and you're just delaying the correction and you're already losing the line and you're going wide. If the car has understeer, act fast. You don't want the understeer. The more time you spend on understeer, the more time you lose. So understeer, boom, boom, good, power. That's what I do. And that's why sometimes if I'm learning a car and you see me driving live, you're going to see a lot of weird like this on a long corner. That's me quickly acting and trying to gather as much data as possible, but not waiting for the understeer to drive me out. It's like you have to be active, proactive on the pedal is like super important to be. Proactive on the pedals to adjust for the balance. See, this was good. I like this one. There was still too much understeer. There was still a lot of turning, but there was a lot of waiting, and the pedals were there until the apex. So this corner was the only one that, look, peak brakes, release, turning, still on the brakes, a little touch here. So it's like we can see that like there's a little bit of inexperience in like keeping the brakes a little bit more linear, but the intention is here. You are using the brakes to turn the car more onto the apex, and then you get back on power in the middle to the exit, and you unwind the steering. So here, this one looks good relatively to the other corners. But I still think this car is too understeer. I would definitely add more front grip if you can change the setup. And then for the last corner, we have the same issue, just braking too hard on a straight line and locking the tires afterwards. There's 3 seconds in it. Like if you apply everything we talked about right now, like there's easy 139 you can hit here. Any questions?
I'm curious if we could, like, when we take a look at these and it's like one example that applies to all corners, we can literally just say that once and we can just move on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but sometimes seeing this thing in I mean, I went quite quickly through that because I wanted to show you that the pattern is there. So still going through the next corners real quick, just to say here and here, and look at this and look at this. That helped. I think that helps. YouTube will lose their minds over clickbait again. Okay, guys, I gave you a task. We need to have a similar phrase to "my grandpa has better curves" for the next video. So just make sure we have some nice ideas here. We really need some like every thumbnail will have to have like a phrase like that. What is this? Let's take a look at the comments. Would it be better for him to stay at, let's say, 70% and then go straight to 0 again? No, because then you're not slowing down as much as you can on a straight line. Like, yes, relatively it's better to do this compared to this because this you would lock, right? But still, do this. Practice this. If you're driving a Formula 1 car, you have to learn this. That's literally your ticket to 4 or 5K iRating in Formula 1s. You have to understand the aero loss on a straight line. I know it's annoying, but like we have a whole lesson on our course about the patterns that you have to learn. Remember, I think that's the first lesson of level 2. First lesson of level 2, what do I say? What do I tell? Like, brake this much, release. Now let's brake to 99%, not 100. And now let's release slowly to 50. And now let's do this pattern. Let's go up, slow down. What? I'm trying to teach you the sensitivity and the precision that you need to have in your brake pedal to be able to control the cars to the degree of sensitivity that they require. The brake tray is so blocky that we play in Minecraft. Yeah, sometimes it's difficult, man. Like, I've had coaching sessions where the biggest advice, the biggest improvement from the student was because I went through their settings. And I was like, bruh, like, he was braking, you know, like how much he was pressing. He was pressing like this. But the pedal was showing like this. Like in his calibration, it was going like this. Which means, what does the calibration see? We see 100% all the time. So he was braking up and down, up and down, up and down, and it was locked in 100%. Then he would get frustrated with tire locking. He would drop straight to 0, and then obviously from here it would drop to 0. So like his braking was just off the calibration, and he was braking 20%, and it was showing 100%. He had absolutely terrible control of the car because of a settings problem. So this might even be the case for this one, or it may be a low end pedal. We don't know exactly what it is, but it's that's why it's so important that you try that exercise to make sure that you have the right calibration and that you have the right sensitivity. Everything needs to be right. The pedal needs to be well calibrated. No gamma, nothing, linear pressure. If you guys have some sort of software that allows your brake pedal to have some sort of gamma like this, turn this thing off. It has to be a straight line. Has to be linear. Yeah, load cells, linear, and practice your sensitivity.
I think he needs a driver mod, not a hardware mod.
Yeah, I think we're going through some GT3 right now. Let's do that. Let's go for the next one. Let me just make sure that this is reviewed. Where is it? Not supposed to be here.
By the way, guys, you can post multiple laps.
Yeah, you can
So
post
if you're
more
a
than
gold
one
member
lap.
and want to post, yeah, you can post 20. We don't care.
I can find it. Where's Pedro's lap?
Just create a new. Let's create a new post.
I swear I saw here it is. Aston Martin GT3. Let's do this. 15-year-olds from Brazil. 10 months experience in iRacing. Started to drive 15 to 20 hours a week to try to improve significantly, and 2.5K rating. All right, let's go. Let's go for it.
bro thinks he's Max Verstappen or something.
All right. Good lap. I think this one is going to be pretty technical. Any comments, guys?
He's probably using one of those cheats that automatically drives for you and puts you on the limit all the time.
Smooth operator. Who said that? I think it was Michael Andretti. Mario Andretti. Some Andretti said, if things look under control, you're going slow. I think. Wait, Pedro said he cannot hear us. Can you guys hear me?
It might be him. He might need to like check his output settings and stuff.
Yeah. Too deliberate with the steering. Too smooth. It's everything looks a little bit too good, right? There's something wrong. There's something wrong. If you're starting to turn the steering and the car turns immediately as you ask for it, it means the car was not on the limit previously. And for every fraction of a second you ask something and the car immediately gives it to you, especially in terms of rotation, is probably a red flag. I saw no correction, no micro correction, nothing in the entire lap. My first is it here, right? Like my first thought is, what setup is this? At some point I was looking up and like, if this is a fixed setup, that's a problem. But I want more rotation. I want more spice. And we don't see any drama here.
Guys driving is as bland as wife cooking.
We got some understeer. I think everywhere we got a little bit of understeer on the middle of the corner. Let me see the next entries here. I don't like one thing here. I don't like... Remember the baseline, right? We brake on a straight line. And then we trail. As soon as we start trailing, we have to add steering. And we add steering in this case after the initial brakes because we are braking hard. So here we are using 100% of the grip. But what happens if you brake a tiny bit and only then you add steering? So this is what we see, right? We see this. He's on throttle. He lifts the throttle. I mean, Pedro, you're here. So you lift the throttle. You brake on a straight line. And then you start turning. So you're braking here and you're turning here. So for this fraction of a second here, you are braking 10% and turning 0% and accelerating 0%. At this fraction of a second, you are only using 10% of the available grip, and that's slow. If you are going to brake very soft into a corner, combine the beginning of the brakes with the steering already. Because then this combination makes sense. 10% brakes is, what are the functions of the braking? Remember from the course, lesson braking functions. We have two functions, right? We can either stop the car or we can turn the car. If you're using the function to turn the car without steering, you're not doing anything. We need a little bit more spice. So you see, brake on a straight line, you're barely turning, and then you decide to turn. I know this is a fraction of a second. It might not be that much, but it's just it shows the mentality of being a little bit too safe. Like we need to combine a little bit more those two things to make sure that you're using the grip at all times, including at the initial turn in. And then and we got immediately into understeer. We're getting understeer in the middle of the corner here. We're getting a lot of understeer in the middle of the corner here. And then next corner. This one we didn't. This one was good rotation here. This was good. So you see he's braking enough and then he's turning and releasing kinda at the same time, and you can see how the car really likes it and really points. And this is the sensation that I think is missing on turns 1 and 2 and 3. This one was also good because the change of direction was pretty fast. And immediately we combined that 5% brakes with the steering. This is correct. This is good. But where is it? It's here, right? This is terrible. This is bad. Straight steering. Straight steering with 10%. So you've done it right already in other corners. Just make sure like you never waste time by braking on a straight line 10% before you start turning. Already turn if you're going straight into trail braking. This one, I think, again, it's kind of like too much like this as you steer, and it causes understeer. This causes understeer because here you're slowing the car down a lot, and then you throw a lot of weight to the rear. So you're making it a little bit too safe, and this is costing you lap time. I think what you could have done is a little bit something like this, where you slow the car a little bit less, and this rotates the car more. So here you get more rotation, more rotation, more rotation with the same amount of steering, with the same lines, everything. But the car just turns a little bit more. And instead of accelerating here, you can accelerate here, right? And that's 0.05 that you gain. Wow, that was terrible writing. Anyways, you got the idea. And this just feels understeery. Maybe it's a setup. I don't know if it's a fixed setup. That's a big problem, but if it's not fixed, I would add more spice in the setup. I would really like to have the car turn more without having to struggle that much. Yeah, that's a lot of understeer. It's a lot of understeer. What is this? Oh, the car is bottoming out. Oh shit! The car is bottoming out so much that is that it? Am I seeing something crazy here, guys? I feel like the car is bottoming out and the rotation is going all over the place. Yeah, it's bottoming out. You can hear it. Oh my god, the whole thing is bottoming out. You can hear the sound of the car bottoming out like 4 times here. Same thing. Look at this. You're braking, not turning. You're releasing the brakes. And then you only start turning more when the brakes are already very low. I think what's going on is that you're releasing the brakes and turning a little bit too late. Almost something like this. I'm exaggerating, but we need to push this trace a little bit earlier so that there's a higher amount of combination between brakes and steering, and you get more rotation. Because otherwise, right now, I feel you're doomed to understeer. Like you didn't even get that bad understeer here. I think the engine braking kind of helped you. But it just feels a little bit too... Yeah, I think you could have probably carried a little bit more speed instead of doing this. Because of this quick drop here, maybe you can brake a little bit later and then do something a little bit like this, so that you kind of like spread the rotation generation and the car gets a little bit more spicy and turns a little bit more without you having to turn the steering so much. That's all good. Yeah, there's some time here. It just feels like too smooth, right, guys? Like it feels like the car responds to your inputs. You see, you're adding more steering and the car is turning more and more and more a little bit too immediately. I don't see any sort of like little correction or the car wanting to go wide and then getting back, because this corner is more like this, right? It's a closing radius, so it closes a little bit more towards the end, something like this. So what I like to do here is to carry a lot of speed and then kind of like go a little bit wide and then back in and get back on power here and then do the SS flat. But in your case, it's almost like you're stuck here and you're bouncing. So you're not actually literally bouncing, but you're holding a steering trace that keeps you on the inside. It's too easy. Your lap is too easy. And I think that's a kind of like a good thing. I think driving wise, you seem to have found a very consistent way, but you need to find a way to carry more speed and carry more rotation. So when I say, let's try to have a more dramatic lap, I'm not telling you to brake later only. In some cases, it might be the case. But mostly, I think I miss rotation and corrections. I miss combining the brakes with the steering a little bit more to get the car to bite a little bit more. And as soon as you get into that problem, then you will really need the knowledge of MRP, the knowledge of closing spiral and opening spiral, the knowledge of like compound corners and how to, plan your line and so on. And the brake trace is going to be more connected to the steering. And then for the last corner, I like the last corner. I feel like the last corner is one of the few corners where you seem to be correcting a little bit. Like there are some micro corrections here, so I kind of like it. Just the exit was too easy. I think you got back on throttle and now I can't hear. Oh, here we cannot hear the sound of the tires because your engine sound is very high, so we cannot use that as a reference. But I just see like no drama here. It's a little bit too easy. Like, oh, this time you're steering just this, and the car is going this way. The car doesn't even want to push this way. Like you are the one unwinding the steering and letting the car go here, and you're still leaving this amount of space, of track space here. So I think you could have gotten back on power a little bit earlier. The entry was good though. I like what it did with the entry here. There's a bigger connection with the brakes and the steering. Just the throttle was a little bit too late, I think, or not aggressive enough. Yeah, you spent a little bit too much time on this instead of doing something like just get to 100 a little bit earlier and use that extra exit speed. Questions? So basically for him to add steering earlier, have more struggle with the entry, and with a lap or two, he would instinctively find the new braking point. Not a lap or two, more like some dozens of laps, maybe 100 laps. It's not an easy thing. Brian, your question is very good. So your question is it better to start turning and then release the brakes a fraction later, or to time the release and the turn at exactly the same time? Depending on the car, do both. For cars with ABS, at first, the best thing to do is to try to start turning at a fraction of a second earlier to feel how releasing off the ABS makes the car turn. If that still overheats the tire a little bit too much, then you try to close the gap. Instead of turning and then releasing the brakes, you make it closer. You turn and kind of like almost at the same time release the brakes. And if it's still too much, then you try to turn releasing the brakes at the same time. But make that adjustment. One thing I don't want you to do is to release the brakes and then turn. That is unproductive in most cars. There will be very rare occasions where you have to release the brakes before you start turning. One big exception is obviously the brake release on a straight line on a Formula One, but that's not related to that. It's just related to the actual threshold grip that you lose because you're losing downforce. So it doesn't really relate to what we're talking about today. In theory, though, timing it at the same time should be the fastest. Kinda, yeah, but not. I don't know. In theory, yes, but like the timing of things when there's so many moving parts and suspensions and you know, like it's very difficult to define what timing that is. Like when you turn the steering, there's some time for the suspension to compress. Like the tire only actually starts turning the car after you have some slip angle, so it's never gonna be like super precise. It's difficult to define what timing means here. So basically, you need to trail brake for longer on most corners. Yes, I think you need. I want more rotation, man. I don't know how you're gonna do it. Just give me more rotation. That's what I want. I need some spice. Like your driving is too safe. Less initial peak pressure, maybe. If it's too easy in your understeer in the middle of the corner, you can probably carry a little bit more brakes on corner entry. I think that's for sure gonna help. It's difficult. I know it's not easy, man. Like if I were actually on a coaching session with you, I would give you a bunch of options, but like just telling you, hey, get more rotation should at least make you think a little bit. The washing machine sound in the background. Yeah. Damn, you guys picked that up. All right, let's go to the next one. Thank you, man, for sending it up. That is reviewed. Reviewed. We have MX5 time attack. We've seen this one. You guys want to take a look at some Euro NASCAR qualifying lap? Let's take a look at that. 2.5K rating. Mayan. Being excited to try out the new Euro NASCAR series after watching NASCAR.
I'm really gonna judge somebody just turning left.
No. It's Brent Hatch, it looks like.
The roast, bro.
Oh wait, I didn't know this car can turn, right? Let's go. Kind of bad that the telemetry is not docked out to the middle, so we're gonna have to look at the telemetry on the bottom here, but yeah, let's watch it. Oh god, that's loud.
Guy trying to be like Dale.
Ah. I hate this. What do I hate, guys? I'm gonna play it again.
You hate that he doesn't pay for the platinum. You hate that he's not a platinum member.
If he was driving real life Euro NASCAR, I would get Connor to coach him, not me. What do you guys think? What do you think of this one? Tire sounds, they come and go. Yeah, exactly. The tire is screaming in pain on the beginning of the brakes, and then the tire sound disappears for like a whole second. He does nothing for a while. at the corner entry. So let's take a look at it again. Corner entry, he starts braking. Now we have sound. Now he drops the brake. Sound vanished for a whole second. There's nothing here. Nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. Now, at this point, he reapplies the brake. So his brakes are doing this, right? As soon as he reapplies the brakes, look at how much rotation he gets. He gets into a little oversteer here, and you can hear the sound of the tires again. There you go. See? You guys notice that? Sound, no sound, sound. That's where the lap time is in unifying that. I would try to do something like this rather than this. This is the problem. You're over the limit on the initial braking. Then you release too much. You're not turning the steering yet. So at this point here, you're constantly under the limit for over a second. And then you add kind of both at the same time. You add steering and brakes. And here, again, you are over the limit. So over the limit, under the limit, over the limit. That's the issue. There's a little bit of track usage too, right? I don't like this. Big gap. It's easy. It's very difficult to get the car right there, especially on NASCAR. But a NASCAR is a car. At least you get close here. So that's kind of like my checkpoint. I don't know if you guys remember what I mean by checkpoint, right? It's an important spot that you need to have your car at during any sort of transition or entry. It's like a place where if you find yourself there, you're good to go to have a perfect arc for the next corner. So that's what I call a checkpoint. And he gets close there, but I think we could have approached a little bit more from the outside here and already be here before we jump down into the corner. Yeah, but that's it. That this moment of nothingness here is what bothers me the most. And then add steering and brakes at the same time. The sounds come back, and now we're on for a ride of a little oversteer here. Okay, exit is good. Using the compression. Oop! Same thing. What's he doing with the brakes? Wow. Stops a lot, doesn't stop. Stops a lot, probably micro locking here. We have to even this out. Do something like this. Brake movement, too much brake movement is bad, guys. It's really bad. This kills your consistency. This kills your brake reference ability. This kills the balance of the car. This kills the tires. You know, it's bad for everything if your brakes are going up and down like the stock market. See, we had 3 waves. Boom, boom, boom. Clean it up. I know it's difficult for some people. It's difficult for some pedal settings. If your pedals are not like properly set, it's very difficult. But like it's a super important objective. Yeah, I was gonna ask if he's braking with the right foot, but he's not, because we see a lot of overlap here. So that's left foot braking with a blip, right?
Nah, he has his foot. He has his foot across both pedals at the same time. So he has like
he's Bigfoot.
At the top of his foot. His top of his foot is on the brakes, and then the bottom of his foot is on the gas pedal, and he just sideways stomp it.
Interesting, very interesting technique. You do that too? Can you show us?
I can, but because it's feet picks, you have to pay me extra.
Oh, okay. Damn. I don't have money for that. It's too expensive. Oh no! Oh no! What was a mistake here, guys? This corner. What's the mistake? Killed rotation with the acceleration. Throttle too early. Makes the car safe, right? But It was way too early in the corner. Absolutely destroyed the rotation. It created so much understeer that he had to wait for 7 years before getting back on power again. So again, brakes. Okay. There's. If you ever drive at Brands Hatch, do you see how at this point we cannot see the track? We cannot see the apex. We cannot see the corner. It's almost like we're going down, right? If we're going down, we can draw it from a top-down shot. I can explain to you. This is an elevation change. We are falling here at this point. If you are here and you cannot see this, whatever is blocking you from the view will have no grip. Always. If you cannot see it, there will be no grip. What's blocking you from seeing it will be a crest. So we have a crest here. If we have a crest here, the car does not want to turn. So if initially our line was supposed to be like this, as soon as you get here, the car does not do this and keeps going kind of a little bit straighter because there will be less grip. And the problem of this is that that offset carries over to the rest of the line and you miss the apex and you miss everything. So what we want to do in crests is actually try to brake diagonally so that you go straighter on top of it. And then as soon as you exit the area with the least grip, then you're already on the nice line for this. This is a weird line for Brands Hatch. If you guys have experience, you know what I'm talking about on this track. But you see, trying to stay wide here is not the best idea because now we're still falling, so the car doesn't really turn. Really doesn't want to turn. So that's the first mistake is I think braking traditionally. So what I do here is I actually brake a little bit later, but I brake diagonally because I really want to just get rid of this crest here. And as soon as I'm deeper inside the corner, I will kind of like almost double apex this, and I will be a little bit carrying a little bit more speed because I found my way to bypass the crest. And then after this, what's missing is because he tried to use the traditional line, he found himself at the curb too early. And you see, oh, that's an apex. Let's accelerate. He accelerates. And where the fuck is the end of the corner? Still not full throttle. Still not full throttle. Still not full throttle. Still not full throttle. Finally, we can accelerate, right? The problem is that we didn't find an MRP. There's no MRP in this corner. Like he is not having an MRP. Ideally, you want to have one defined spot to reach your maximum rotation, and that is around 50% of the angle of the corner, right? So if the corner is 180 degrees, your MRP will be pretty close to 90 degrees. And then from there, you accelerate, allow the car to do the opening spiral, right? Opening spiral, and not have to worry about holding your throttle and wait. This is slow. This is very slow. What would be very fast is stay on the brakes, and then do something like this. This is fast. This is fast. So much understeer. Oh my god. This little corner here, just a quick tip, guys. After you exit this, see how the next corner is like, the turning point for the next corner is already here. Don't go straight. I know it feels weird, but like try to at least bring the car a little bit to the left so that you can have a better angle, a better positioning, and a better angle for the next corner. That's also in level 2 course. A whole lesson, including with a bunch of examples at Brands Hatch, because Brands Hatch is great for that. It's the perfect trap track full of little traps that make you misuse the corner because it invites you to do the wrong line. Turn 1 has a trap, has a positioning angle trap. Turn 2 has the crest and entry, and this one here, same thing. I don't know if this is 3 and then 4, or if this is 3. It depends on Kyle's mood.
I prefer 6-7.
6-7, yeah. So yeah, just here, going straight into putting yourself into a bad line. You see, you're starting to break to a corner that goes this way, but your car is pointing to the marshal post. That's bad. You had time enough to prepare the car to do this, which decreases the amount of angle that you need to rotate on this corner. I think that's it's almost like this is considered a compound corner, right? Like if there's no time to go straight in between because you have to go from the exit into the entry of the next one, we can pretty much say that this is a compound sector. Look at how difficult it is, right? So much braking, so much rotation. It's almost like you're transforming this corner into a hairpin by not going right before the entry of the corner. The balance was good here. I like the brakes. Brake, release. Kind of like hold a little bit the throttle. Maybe we could have trailed a little bit more. It seems a little bit too easy. But it's balanced. We really accelerate and we trail the throttle up. I know there's a lot of power in this car. So that looks good. This is so difficult to explain. This corner is very long, right? Very long here. So if you open up right here early, you're gonna kind of get stuck and bounce on the inside. So what I like doing here is I actually like using this little transition before braking. I really try to pull the car as much as possible to the right. So I create a lot of lateral forces here to the right because I want to brake kind of like treating this corner like a double apex because there's so much space inside the corner to do the braking. And what you're doing here is you're kind of like letting the car go wide. You straighten the steering and you let the car go wide and you start braking from here. At best, on a high downforce car, we would do this line, but not on a low downforce car with 1 billion horsepower. I would probably prefer to stay in a little bit more and kind of double apex. Because you see, you actually never really kind of get the apex because you were so outside. And I can see that you're actively getting more rotation with the pedal. So I really appreciate that. See, like the pedal is like, come on, rotate, come on, rotate, come on, rotate. So you're actively trying to get more rotation through the pedals. That's good. But I just think trying to go out there right here. And we have a similar issue with the no tire sound, right? So like you're not really on the limit at this point because you're braking like this amount with not a lot of steering. So the car is just kind of sailing here, sailing. And then you get into a little bit of understeer here. But it's a very difficult track. It's a very difficult, like all corners on this track are absolutely trolling you. So my obsession when I don't know what to do is I will find a line that I'm constantly alternating between braking and turning on the limit, never leaving any gaps. Trying to maximize rotation, trying to maximize acceleration and maximize braking without having any kind of waiting, right? I don't want to wait and go on a straight line here to optimize that line. I want to find myself struggling and like, right? Like we gotta find the limits in a way that the limit takes us to where we want to go rather than we taking the car to where we want to go. That's extremely important. Any comments, any questions? Question about the tires. Do I need to hear them all the time? When it's too much. It's too much when you're locking the tires or understeering to the point where you're actually not getting anything from the car. So if you actually lock the tires, the sound will go high pitch, and it's going to, the car's not going to stop. It's going to go straight. It's not going to turn. Like, the sound of the tires is bad enough when you realize that there's something not happening that you're asking. Is the turn after that corner straight? That's a philosophical question. No, you heard me reading your question and then you realize, what the fuck? Let's think a little bit about the question and how we can reword it better. Can you please review my Formula 4 lap? Let's take a look at it. Yeah, only MP4 or YouTube links, guys. No RPYs. RPYs would take a little bit too long for us to analyze stuff. But hey, you see, am I moving faster? Am I moving faster, Kyle? I'm not taking 1 hour and 10 minutes to do one review now.
Sleeping.
All right, reviewed. We went through a lot of stuff. We have F4 at Spa. We have the Mustang at GT at Spa. Mustang. Did we do Spa today? We did Spa with the F1, so that was different. We have some challenge at Lime Rock. We can take a look at that. I like that. We have Ferrari at Spa. So we have 2 laps at Spa. We have Radical. And we have the SF23. Let's go. All right, so let's see the oldest one because I don't want laps to be too invalid. If we take too long to review these laps, then the driver itself will already have changed. So we have this. I think the oldest one that we did not review was this one, SF23 at Silverstone. That's pretty interesting. And then the next ones are 14 days ago. So let's take a look at this one first. That's a YouTube. Perfect. A little bit loud. Let's go for it. Holy turbo. Do you guys notice it? Can you guys hear? Can you guys feel the turbo lag? I don't know. Imagine this car doesn't have turbo, but I can see that the RPM does this, right? Like you feel the turbo spooling big time. Woo!
Guys turning like a low downforce car.
Yeah, you got it.
Are you proud of me?
I am proud of you. No! No!
I'm in the limit on transitions between left and right.
Yep. No! Nice. Okay. Yeah. What's the I rating? What's the I rating here?
Oh wait, we should do the guess your I rating thing.
Yeah. Yes. I didn't guess it. Like I was gonna guess 2K. Yeah. He's 1.7K, but his driving can very easily be 2.5 to 3K. So it's Richard, right? Richard. you do things that high level drivers do very well. The things that you're missing are kind of like beginner mistakes in a way that are easy to fix. So you're sitting on a gold mine here in terms of lap times, I think. It would be very... I would love to do a coaching session with you, like to go through the stuff. So let's go straight to... Let's go through here. So one thing that I really like, guys, is the fact that he is doing literally what we talked about. You see it. What we talked about, the downforce loss. Downforce loss. Right? We saw it. We see it here. Look. You see it? You see it? Up, down slowly, down faster. So he is doing it perfectly. He drops the brake as he loses downforce. Then he drops more quickly as he trails into the corner. It is there. It's not perfect. He's a little bit micro-locking, but this guy, I know that the Super Formula loves micro-locking. It's so super easy. But he's doing it. He's doing it. I just don't like it. He only goes 100% throttle here after he's going fully straight. So I think like that the delay here costs like a good half a tenth. The exit is good. I know there's way too much power there. Maybe it's because there was too much power that he didn't. Yeah. I would have to drive to kind of see like how I could have done that. But then we have this one here. No. No. Don't brake diagonally into a high-speed corner on a high downforce car. You brake parallel to the white line, and you make use of the downforce to set you up for the closing radius. If you turn in like this and you start braking, you're making the corner tighter, as if you were driving a low downforce car. And then look at this. You can turn, you have to wait, and then you turn more at this point. Like this is the closest radius of the corner. And we wanna go around the entry to use the downforce, to rotate with the downforce and point the car nicely here. And I think by braking diagonally into the corner, we lose the opportunity to benefit from the downforce. And you literally have to wait. You can hear on the sound of the tires, you can see it on the steering that he is stuck on the inside and kind of waiting for the corner to come to him. Look. See, all this time. Like he spent 0.4 of a second off the limit here, under the limit. And then finally now he starts turning. See? See? Do you guys see it? Am I crazy? Do you guys see it? No? I'm the only one? Because I really like... Okay, perfect. I just want to know if it's clear. You don't see much? It's the sometimes it happens over 0.3 of a second. But at some point when you get used to it, you're gonna see it everywhere. It's those little blinks of an eye moments where you're under the limit. They accumulate. Like you lose 300 lap time in this, and then in there, and then there, and then there, and then when you add it up, you're like down half a second just on a specific mistake, with not even mentioning the other mistakes that we're gonna talk about. Why would you use that line with low downforce? I know I have a lot of stuff on my YouTube. I don't know if I have a lesson about downforce on my YouTube. I for sure have a lesson about downforce on my level 3 cornering precision and cornering mastery precision. I forgot. I literally forgot the name of the level 3 course, Kyle. But like I have a lesson on the course. I don't know if it's level 2 or 3, only about downforce and about the closing and opening spirals and how it affects the turning. As soon as you see that, you cannot unsee it. And your driving in a Formula car is completely different to a low downforce car.
Cornering, precision.
Cornering precision, yeah. So, Robert, I also don't do that on a GT3 car. I start braking and I immediately start trailing, but my trail still starts after I start braking parallel to the white line. Remember that the GT3 car is a high downforce car, guys. It's GT3 is not really that low downforce, okay? Like it's high downforce. It's higher downforce than an LMP3. All right, back to it. This is good. I just miss drama. Like I just miss 5% extra like acceleration here. You know, like so what I like doing with these Formula cars is like they have a lot of grip and at the same time that they did tell you what's going on. So like it's never gonna snap that crazy. So if you're doing this and there's no drama, try this instead. Like you go a little bit more to find that your steering is telling something. Like if you get a little bit of oversteer, your steering is going to get ever so slightly heavier, which is why we need light hands, right? So that we can feel the force feedback variations. And as soon as the steering gets heavier, automatically the car wants to correct and you hold it a little bit and then you go more, you feel the steering getting heavier and you go a little bit more and you keep like, you know, a more active throttle application a little bit over the limit just to get you to know that that is actually the limit. This is worth a tenth. Like if you're too safe, you're keeping that tenth off of you for the sake of safety. I don't like it. Like I would try a little bit more. Again, this is a little bit higher level. Like in your 1.7K rating, I think you can get into the 2.5Ks by making more use of the high downforce. I think that the throttle application may just trying to dare a little bit earlier throttle application until it starts to show up in your force feedback, to show up in the actual rotation of the car. Cops. Cups is good. I think maybe a little bit under the limit because the throttle was... Yeah, the sound of tire disappears on the exit. So the ideal... What's the ideal steering trace for here, guys? Like what do you think is the ideal steering trace for Cups? Is it like this? Or is it like this? Or is it like this? What do you think? I know this is a weird question, right? Like 1, 2, or 3? Any ideas? Okay. The blue one, yes. Not one. Not one. Why is it not one? Because we're not braking in a straight line. We're not transitioning from braking on a straight line. We're flicking the steering to the corner, right? We're using the brakes only to help the car turn, but we're not slowly turning in. Like we're, right? So 2 or 3? 3, 3, 3. There you go. I know 3 is ugly as fuck, right? It's kind of 3. Like the perfect on the limit, like I'm about to die, perfect corner is 3. Why? Because we need to add gambling. What? It's actually 3. Like you turn pretty fast. You're still decelerating a little bit, right? You reach the apex, you get back on power, and then you're like and then boom, you get on the apex. Oh, sorry, not on the apex, on the exit, and you quickly go straight. Like right after you realize you did not get you off track, you can straighten pretty fast. So it's not like this and going slow from here. So like 2 was something like this, right? Where you still decrease slowly. No, it's fast. It's like and what we can see on his driving is we see the steering going back so gently. It's like ooh, so gently. Like there's no risk of off track. If he kept turning more at the same amount, the car would have not used the exit. And if you have the choice to not use all the exit, you're slow. You have to struggle, and I want the center line of this car to be literally on top of the left edge of the black and white curb. That's the only way you will know that you're really on the limit of this corner. Put these on Polymarket. Yeah, we were gonna create a little. We should do some quizzes for the. What do you think, Kyle? So we can emit certificates by asking these like multiple choice questions. To emit a little graduate certificate for the students.
My biggest thing is I did want to create like a test, but it'll be a difficult test. And in order to get like a graduation, you have to pass this test, and the test will be a mix of like knowledge terminology, like what is understeer, what is oversteer, but then provide practical application visualization. So we would provide like examples of like something like what we're doing right now, and the student will have to answer what is going on in the video and how to fix it. And in order to pass, they have to get like a certain score, and when they get a certain score, they graduate from the academy fully, and it'll be an extremely difficult test.
There you go. I think we should do extremely difficult questions. I love it. Like this is one, right? It's so weird. Guys, there's a lap, like there's a moment where, like if you look at IndyCar, you're going to see a lot of this. You're going to see their steering is like this, and then it does this. Boom. And this moment here where they go from turning a lot to going straight is when they just got on the wall on the exit. Like they just got on the wall here and they almost hit the wall. When, especially if you see IndyCar, Indy 500 qualifying. You're going to see this a little bit. Like it's not ideal, and they don't risk it that much there because their cars are going so loose and so on. There's other reasons, but for a high downforce car, ideally you want to have your steering pretty locked all the way until you reach this point here on the white line, on the off track line. Obviously, if you do it too much, there's scrub and so on. Like I'm talking about locking the limit of the steering to the speed that you're actually carrying. Time. There's lap time here. Like the corner is to the right, and this car has a lot of downforce, and this is a flat corner, right? Oh, it's not flat, so even more important. Okay, so corner is to the right. Don't go that early here because this little curve will put you off the ideal turning point. Have the car more on the middle and line up with the end of the sausage curb. Here. Make this be your turning point. You're going this way. Like it's making the actual amount of track you can use on this turn in smaller. See, and you're starting to turn in later. Look, here you're starting to actually load the steering. I would have loaded my steering I would have my car pointing this way, and I would have my steering fully loaded right here. You're fully loading your steering right here. So I spent all this distance here, significant amount of distance, with forces being generated towards the direction of the corner, which means I'm able to carry more speed, and I'm able to lift less, and I'm able to just like overall carry more speed, minimum speed. After this, the next corner is to the left. Make sure you keep turning right and you flick the steering to the left. Don't go straight. You're going straight, then you turn. So you're actually going straight for a good 75 meters here, which means you miss the opportunity to bring the car more to the right, flick the steering more aggressively to improve your arc for the second corner, and you do the same thing here. Like this is the most important corner. We should not accelerate that much here. We should focus on bringing the car more to the left to get the best exit possible, because we're gonna carry this exit forever until the next corner. More to the right, here, right. And then more to the left. Don't accelerate that much. Bring the car more to the left. Prepare the last corner. The last corner is the most important. And then you have a much better line, and you accelerate more aggressively here. You don't have to brake that much. And then also was a little bit under the limit on the exit. So it's you have to keep the car always loaded laterally, and especially in a Formula 1 car or a Super Formula car, you need so much to use every inch of the track being laterally loaded. As soon as if you're only 70% on the limit of the corner, and the last 30% you're chilling, that's a lot of lap time that you lost, and that you cannot carry to the straight. You lost so much time by reapplying the brakes. You did this. I'm exaggerating, right? You did like kind of this, but no. Yeah, it was too much brakes. I think it's just that, like, be careful with this habit of reapplying that much brakes. Like you sound, look at the sound of the tires. The sound suddenly appeared when you reapplied the brakes, and there was, where's my thing? Oh, it's here. There was no sound here. So you weren't really understeering. You could have turned the steering a little bit more, I think, instead of trying to apply the brakes to turn the car more. Because as soon as you got here, did you apply the brakes and the steering at the same time? Yeah, you applied the brakes and the steering at the same time. That's the big mistake here that cost you a good tenth. A good tenth here. Like, mistakes in a high downforce car cost a lot of lap time. That's why sometimes you see F1, they dip a wheel on the, like Piastri today in qualifying dipped a wheel on the gravel, lost like 6/10. Because these cars, the lap times, it compounds so much. It's insane. So just be careful not to add brakes and steering at the same time. Just be patient. Here, do this and be like, right? So what you did here was you did this. You added the steering. Actually, to be honest, what you did, what I see from the sound of the tires is that you did this, and then you added a lot more steering with the brakes also going up. And that's the moment where this goes from under the limit to too much over the limit. And the downforce kind of saved you here. If you had like a little more, let's call it competitive, right? Like a more oversteer setup, that would have spun you. Beautiful braking. Beautiful braking. I really like this. Beautiful. Yeah, nothing to say about the last corner. Just the same thing about like maybe trying to force the steering a little, the throttle a little bit more, like to get the car to complain. Because the lap looks a little bit too easy, but overall good. I think that's very good driving. It's a very good starting point Focus on the little things that we talked about today, and that's easy like jump from 1.7 Ki rating to 2.5 and beyond. Questions? We got the F4. I think that should be the last that we will see today. We're almost at 2 hours. And these videos, the last Roast My Lap got so long. It was so difficult to edit, and I think it's a little bit too long, so people are not really gonna watch. So we're gonna look at one more. Let's take the F4. All right, SF23 has been reviewed. F4 at Spa. Let's take a look at this. 18 years old. 2 weeks of experience. Let's take a look at it. Is that just one lap? Oh, we have more laps. Where are the lap times? The 229. $246. $227. Okay, let's look at the 227.
Guy needs some consistency challenge work.
All right, let's go. Why did you do that in the 2 laps? Why did you do the corner in 3rd gear and only then downshift to 2nd after the exit? Because you did that on the 1st lap that I saw, and then you did the same thing here. Can you tell me like why you're
Guy's afraid of the rotation?
getting used to the setup? Okay, that's a lot of lap time. That's a lot of lap time, because that little exit of turn 1 is going to take you for 40 seconds on a long straight. So you need to get, like, turn 1 is all about getting a good exit, because you're launching your car into a 40-second straight. Oh, let's look at your setup. That's good, man. That's a very good setup. That's a very good setup. No excuses for you. Like, that's way better than what I had in the past. Like, I also had a chair like this on the bed. The difference is that I actually didn't have this. I was using the steering wheel on the keyboard tray. So this looks pretty good. It looks like it's a little bit too close. Like, are you able to stretch your legs? If you can, maybe like put this a little bit deeper on the pedal, so that you can stretch your legs a little bit more. It looks like it will be better, unless you actually move it back when you go in. Yeah, this is my old setup, just so you guys know. This is what I actually had. It's kind of similar. There's a bad here, but it looks a little bit more rudimentary. Logitech G29, Oculus CV1, and G29 on the keyboard tray. And a little, this is ugly as fuck, but what happened here is I needed something to block the keyboard tray from sliding in. So I put a little diary, and this is a little doll. It's a little plastic doll to keep the book open and to prevent the thing from moving in. And that's how I got into top 1%. Yeah, this photo is amazing. But yeah, now compared to this is professional setup, bro. But yeah, back to the video. Make sure you get into 2nd gear here. Honestly, I think it's a little bit too easy. You said you had 2 weeks of experience, right? So that's amazing if you only have 2 weeks of experience. The brake release is a little bit, I don't know what I'm doing, but it's nice, right? Like, and that's fine, I think. You will remember from what I showed you that we have 2 kind of releases. One slower on a straight line and one faster. The slow release on a straight line in a Formula 4 is not as significant. So you can almost pretty much keep it like semi-fixed and then drop, because there's not a lot of downforce in this car, but there is some. So if you can at least find a turning point in your trace where one is on a straight line and one is when you turn, that's gonna be better. Because right now what it looks like, it's just like, it looks like one straight line. But again, I think that's I don't know what to tell you with 2 weeks of experience without it being a little bit too advanced. So it already looks pretty good, to be honest. I would just downshift to second gear here. You need the exit. And I would turn the steering a little bit more too. Yeah. You're not on the limit of the steering. So as soon as you start releasing the brakes, from here, force it. Turn more and see if you get into understeer. Get understeer. You need to experience it. I'm not telling that the understeer is the way to go, but it's the way to understand the limit. So turn the steering a little bit more, get to second gear and smash the throttle. You need this to be on the limit. This is what I teach real life drivers. This is the safest place to turn the steering as much as you can, because it's low speed, it's on the inside, you already decelerated, there's no risk here. The only risk you have is to do nothing and not learn from it. So make sure you force the car more at this area, turn more, smash the throttle on second gear. That should be worth. Yeah, from the torque that you're getting here on third gear, that's probably worth like 7-8 tenths by the end of the straight. Try not hitting the wall. I think you're going places, man. Like it's really good for someone who has only 2 weeks of experience. Good precision, good consistency, good lines. One thing that I think you need to start chasing is like, you really need to understand what the limit is and the types of limit. I don't know how much of the courses you've done so far of the car handling series. You need to chase lateral limit. You need to chase rotation. That's where everything is. From the mid-corner rotation, from getting the car to turn as much as possible, not turn the steering as much as possible, the car to rotate as much as possible. Everything that stems out of it depends on that first thing. So like, from where will you brake? I don't know. How will I know where to brake? By understanding at what speed I need to be when I turn in. How do I know what speed I need to be when I turn into the corner? By understanding how much the car can turn at a specific speed until it's too fast. And how do you understand it's too fast? When the car starts to complain that you're asking for too much rotation, and the car starts sliding, either the front tires understeer or the rear tires oversteer. You need to get understeer or oversteer to answer all these questions in a sequence. You get the understeer, okay, I understeered at this speed, but the car still did the corner nicely, so I can carry a little bit more speed and still carry that understeer and use all the track. Or I can turn more, because like a lot of times I can see here like this. Look at it, look at this, look at this. When you turn, the car pointed so much that you were going here. And what did you need to do? You need to correct a little bit and do some other things to not get as much rotation. What does this tell you? That you can carry more speed on the next lap so that your car can't get here. So the car are going to struggle. It's going to be like, and sliding a little bit and still not getting to the inside. So a good way to understand the limit is that you will be on the limit when you try to hit the inside grass and you fail. You want to fail. If you can succeed in getting the car on the inside grass, that means you're not carrying enough speed. So that's why I insist so much in trying. And I like that you're doing a lot of stuff. I don't know if you watched the inducing understeer lesson. I can see it here. I can see it here. Boom. You start slowly going on throttle so that you can feel that. Well, actually, no. I don't think you're inducing understeer here. You might, but I don't think you are. It looks like you're just accelerating because you hit the inside. So you're doing what I call bouncing off the apex. You're bouncing. Why are you bouncing off the apex? Because you're slowing the car too much. And then the car can turn more than necessary. See, you brake. You turn. As soon as you turn more, look at this. Look at where the car is going. The car is going here. And then because of that, you feel like, oh, the car is turning too much. I'm going to accelerate. But like you're accelerating here without having decided that this is the acceleration point. But rather by reacting that to the fact that you hit the inside. And then you bounce. We want to carry enough speed so that the car goes wide and then back in, and you get back on power only once. But if you're bouncing here, that forces you to accelerate lightly like this. And now you're just waiting. And then finally, when you see the exit, you can go full throttle. Kind of the same thing here. Like you're waiting. Your steering is waiting. You brake. You braked on a straight line before adding steering, right? For your level, that's fine. But I don't want you to turn, realize that the car is like turning more than necessary, and now your steering has to wait. You're waiting. Your steering is fixed. And then finally you turn the steering a little bit more when you realize that you have the room. So you're running out of room to rotate the car because you're overslowing. Yeah, so here's a different issue. I think you're just like holding the balance of the car a little bit too early on the throttle. So what you're doing is, oh, I kind of lost that. Wait, let me go back to there. Yeah, so here what you're doing is you're braking like this, and then you're going immediately to the throttle. So that means that I don't know if you're consciously doing this, but you're holding the balance of the car with the throttle, but you're doing that too early. You're not letting the car breathe. What you can do instead is brake less, carry a little bit more speed, and then by turning with the brakes on it, you're gonna be like, oh my god, the car is turning a lot, and then you use the throttle only when the car turns too much. If you're doing that before the car turns too much, that's a preemptive understeer inducing motion that's safe. And again, I think that's fine. I'm kind of like complimenting you in a weird way, at the same time trying to roast, but like saying that for someone who has 2 weeks of experience, that's very good. And then here, same thing, right? So just bouncing off the apex and then having to go a little bit on the throttle, and the car feels very balanced, but it just feels like there's not a lot of rotation going on. So remember to be obsessed about getting this thing to turn. Same thing here, like you brake too much, you can't turn, you have to wait. Because you're braking too much, the car is overslowing, and then now every time you turn, you bounce. You're bouncing off of all apexes in this track. Ooh, okay, this one is a big problem. So you're doing this, and your steering is coming like this. And I know it's probably because when you were braking like this, you eventually stopped the tire. But remember that the loss of downforce has a specific steepness. You need to understand how much you lock before you turn in, and then do a quicker drop. So at this point, I think you're releasing too fast before you even add the steering, and you're just under the limit. The car is just not stopping here. You release too early the brakes. Nothing. At this point, you're dramatically under the limit because you're braking 30%, you're not turning. So find the amount of downforce. If this is a Formula 1 car, it's going to be pretty drastic, but if it's a Formula 4 car, it's probably going to be something like this. So and you're doing this, right? You're dropping a little bit too much, and all this area here is deceleration capability that you're not using. Yeah, and there's a lot of lap time here. So you need to force, get the car to turn, get the car to oversteer something, like, I don't know, but ask as much rotation as you can and learn from that experience. You have to bring the car as much as you can to the left, to the right here, and then change direction. And when you change direction here, make sure you trail. You need the car to point. The game we play is we point the car to the corner, and then we shoot the car out of the corner. You need the point. If you point, you can shoot. If you are slow into pointing, you are slow into shooting, and you're slow. And here you're not pointing. The car is just like laggy, and you see, like, not pointing. Look at how much you have to wait until you can accelerate. What you can do to save time is bring the car like, and then really point. This first half of the second corner is the most important, because see, you're kind of like going this way. I would have kept the car a little bit more here, and then I would use this portion here, the first half of the corner, to rotate the shit out of the car, because I want to use this exit here to shoot. I don't want to turn there, and you're just turning. Look, I'm accelerating here, and look at what's going on. Why? Because I rotated a lot on the entry, right? And you're still like, yeah. And then finally you can accelerate here. So you're accelerating way later than me. It's funny I say me, but like, I actually didn't do a lap. That's funny. Yeah, here, like 10% brakes. Get the car to point so that you can shoot earlier. Questions? Oh yeah, you should watch that. You should watch the video of me coaching Kyle on the F4. That was super useful. Oh, that's one thing I know. I now know I'm doing wrong. Good. My job is done. Can you use bounces to your advantage? Yeah, to know that you're going slow. It's not a good thing. You can always use the bounce to realize that it can brake later. You're afraid of oversteer. Good. Spin a billion times. You have to spin a billion times. I spun a billion times when I was learning. The more you spin, at first the spins are gonna look ugly, right? But the more aggressive the spin, the more you learn, and then at some point you're gonna reduce those spins into just oversteering moments that you can easily correct. And also the slides are gonna show you a different face of the limit, right? And you need also that face. You need to learn how to induce a slide, so that you can always choose between oversteer and understeer. At first, you want to induce an extreme understeer, and you want to know how to spin a car. You need those two. These are the basic skills that I teach anyone. Real life, sim racing, like no matter the age, if you're a beginner, I will teach you how to induce understeer and how to induce oversteer. After this, you're going to be able to induce smaller amounts of oversteer and smaller amounts of understeer. And from there, even smaller. And that what that becomes is you being able to control the balance to such delicacy and such subtlety and such detail that you're able to judge your speed with like kilometer per hour precision, and you're able to judge your brakes with meter precision, and judge your balance and judge your setup and judge everything. Just go super fast. But you need to learn how to induce those things and be obsessed about rotation. Rotation is 99% of motorsports. Oh, good. I mean, I'm not. Don't call them like mistakes, right? Like, I think this is a part of the learning process. You are 2 weeks old. Like, that's crazy. That's insane for someone who just started. And the stuff, the fact that I'm telling you these things is, that's why I said I think you're going places, because that's a very good start. Giorgio Matesi, you are confused about using all the track. Watch the video on YouTube why using all the track is slowing you down. Just type that on Google search, watch my video, and you will understand how I see using all the track and how to properly use all the track without slowing you down. I think that's it. We've done a lot more reviews today. That's good. That's a good evolution from the last stream that was longer and we reviewed less laps. I think that was super useful. We went through various different types of cars, from the lowest downforce on a NASCAR to the highest downforce on an F1 2004. How often are you going to do the lap analysis? Probably every Saturday, if I'm not traveling. So next Saturday I'm gonna be in Japan, and the other Saturday I will do it, and the next Saturday after that I'm gonna be in Italy racing at Monza. So it really depends on my racing schedule. Guys, remember that there are 2 more days left, today and tomorrow, actually 3 more days left, to use the code anniversary20 and this code is a 20% discount that goes on top of whatever discount you're already getting. So if you're getting the quarterly plan that already gets you a discount, you get a 20% discount on top of that. If you get the yearly, which is already a 50% discount, you get another 20% off that 50%. So that's a total 60% discount on the yearly. We are now officially 2 years old, the Academy, and we are doing this little promotion for you guys. So thank you for the trust, everyone who has been here with us. Kyle, do you have any comments here? So quiet today. So quiet.
I'm a little sick. Leave me alone.
Oh, you're sick. No, that's bad. Do you have a video showcasing the coaching you did in Japan? No, because generally I'm there as a coach, as a service provider, so I don't really like use a lot of those videos for my own marketing. We do post stuff about it on Instagram, just announcing like that what we're doing, some stories here and there, but I don't really do a lot of like, I won't do like a full YouTube video about it, because it's more about him, and I respect that. Oh yeah, there's a link. Kyle, can you put that link on the streams as well? I think we're streaming on Twitch and YouTube, right?
I'm not on that. How about you copy and paste it?
No. Because I'm streaming the entire screen. I don't want to like mess up my stream by going everywhere. You've noticed that in some corners you can put 2 wheels on the grass to widen my arc. Depends on the grass. Depends on the exit. Depends on whether that grass is slowing you down a lot. Depends on the simulator, how much it's going to slow you down. And really, yeah, you have to try. A lot of things, there are no rules, but there are. So because for a lot of things there are no rules, you have to really try things a lot. You have to try everything you can for yourself. As a racing driver, you need the the widest variety of experiences possible to become a complete driver.
I don't have my password for Twitch, and trying to recover my password is going to take like 3 years.
All right, guys, I'm gonna jump. It's getting late here. Thank you for participating. Thank you for sending your laps. Remember to send more laps, so we can. I think we still have plenty for one more video, but yeah, whenever you're ready to send more laps, just make sure you follow the instructions in the website. And thank you for the trust. I will leave you guys now. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
I miss you
Bye,
already.
Kyle.
Bye.